Hey y'all, and welcome back. I hope you're having a great week so far. So we're going to be picking up reading from our devotional, Raised Devotionals by Ida Mae Couch. Love this little book. So the title of today's devotion is Old House, New House. I have my King James Bible ready. I will be reading from it. So let's just get started and see how God's going to minister to us. Old house, new house. The first house I lived in was, as we so affectionately called it, the old house. It was a small 2-bedroom house, and it had been given to my parents by a family friend. It had been a house located in town, and my parents had it relocated to the farm. I have a few vague memories of the old house, such as sitting at the kitchen table with my pink plastic sippy cup with the chewed up and teeth-dented spout. I remember caring for a runt pig on the back porch that had been rejected by its mother. And I remember a grapevine in the backyard. The juicy Concord grapes were a seasonal treat. I can remember how creaky and uneven the floors were too, because the house had been uprooted from its foundation in town. The old house was never meant to be the permanent home for us. Mom and Dad knew they wanted to build a house eventually, and in the spring of 1970, the new house construction began. I remember the foundation being placed. There were cement blocks being stacked with mortar in between. There was a big sand pile, heaven to a young child, where I could play with my big brother's digging toys. Later on, there would be small blocks of wood to stack to pretend I was building a house for my dolls. After a few months, the house was completed. Move-in day was my mom's birthday. What better gift could she possibly get than a lovely new home? My sister was only 10, baked Mom a cake in the brand new oven. It was a very special day. One of the stories I listened to in Sunday school was about 2 different houses being built. We even had a song that we sang about it. Our scripture is going to come from Matthew 7, verses 24 through 27. Verse 24. Therefore, whosoever hearing these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon the house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And every one that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not shall be likened unto a foolish man which buildeth his house upon the sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell. The great was the fall of it. Our new house was definitely more solidly constructed in the physical sense, but even in the old house that was a little rickety, we lived on the firm foundation of Jesus' words. Our home was filled with the love of God and the love for others. The pink sippy cup with all the teeth marks on the spout disappeared when we moved. I don't know what happened to it. I looked and looked for it in the new house, but I never found it. When I shared this memory with my mom, she had a suspicious look on her face. That reminds me of, I was telling my daughter the other day, I grew up in the country, and we had all kinds of animals, not all at one time, but we had cows at one time, we had chickens at one time, we had goats at one time. And I remember I was small enough that I still had my binky pacifier, whatever you want to call it. And it was time for it to go. And so they got rid of it, and then they told me that one of the goats ate it. And that they killed the goat because it had eaten my passy. And they said I'd never ask for it again. I mean, the things that we tell our kids, and then we tell them not to lie to us, right? Oh, well. It's one of those little memories that I have. Wow. Yes. Solid foundation. And how do we get a solid foundation? Through the word, through a prayer life, through relationship with God. I say it over and over and over, but it all comes down to relationship, prayer, and the word. If all 3 of those things are in your life, if you have a relationship with God, then you're going to want to talk to him. So the prayer life is going to come easy. because you're going to want to talk to him. And then when you want to talk to him and he begins to talk to you, then it's going to lead you to your word. And we're going to get into the word and we're just going to get fed. The word is like food for the soul, just like our prayer life is food for the soul, you know. And when we have all three of those in our life, then we are on a firm foundation. You remove one of those and it starts to get rocky and shaky. You remove all of those and, well, you built your house on sand and the rain's coming and it's not going to last. It's not going to work out. It's not going to go as planned. It's going to be a big old mess. And then, you know, thank goodness we have repentance and the Lord will be there for us and help us, pick us up and help us get back on track. But it all starts with a firm foundation. And the way you get that firm foundation is relationship with the Lord, prayer life, and in your word. I mean, it's really not rocket science, you know. It's really that simple. Some people try to make it complicated. I don't know why. Life's complicated enough without adding to. But it really is as simple as getting a relationship with the Lord. And when you get into that, it's just like your relationship with your significant other, your children, your parents, your friends. When you're in relationship with them, it's just natural to want to communicate with them, to call them up, tell them things that's exciting that's going on. Call them up, you know, with concerns you have. Call them up asking them to, you know, pray for you, advice, whatever. It's the same thing with the Lord. It's really that simple. You get in relationship with him and you just automatically talk to him. And then you love him so much and everything about him, you just fall head over heels, deeply, madly, passionately in love with him. And so what do we do when we fall madly, deeply, passionately in love with somebody? We want to know all about them. We get in our word. And it's really that simple. You know, it's not complicated. And I love being in a relationship with the Lord since going 100% in the committed relationship with the Lord. My life has never been the same, and in a good way, He picked me up, he cleaned me up, brushed me off, you know, set me on the straight and narrow, and has helped me every step of the way. In fact, James and I were talking yesterday about when we first got married. When we first got married, you know, I was in my early 40s, he was in his late 40s, and we were literally starting over as if we were in our early 20s, getting married for the first time. We literally had to start over, and we had nothing, y'all. The Lord had blessed us with a house to live in, and we had vehicles, but we had no money. He said, yeah, we didn't have a pot to pee in or a window to sling it out of. We had nothing. And I remember there was times that we literally had to scrimp and come up with creative ways to use what we had to eat, because we just didn't have anything. We were just starting over, and it was tough. And then I said, but look at us now. And our life now, we're not rich, we're not poor, we get by, we are so much better off than we were then, but it did not happen overnight. It was a progression, and it took much faith, a lot of prayer, and a lot of that we had to go through for the Lord to get me personally. I cannot speak for James, I will not speak for him on his spiritual walk with the Lord, but for me personally, it took so much of that to get me where I am now, because I had to get all of that I had came out of, get rid of all that lifestyle that I had been in before, get rid of all the baggage, and just, he had to do a deep, deep clean on me to get me to this point today. And I'm not perfect. I will never say I'm perfect. Tell you all the time, I'm the most imperfect human being. But when I compare me now to then, I'm so much a better person now than I was then. And all of that comes from, I got into a committed relationship with God. I got into a relationship with him, and I began to talk to him, pour my heart out to him, my deepest thoughts, my deepest wants, my deepest regrets, repenting, you know, let him just do what he had to do to clean me up. It was not pleasant, y'all. It was a very, very painful time. Not always. He's so good. It's not a consistent pain. But there was times that it was really, really painful. And I went through a lot of pain, a lot of just deep cleaning and purging he had to do on me to get me to where I am today. And he's not finished, y'all. There's still stuff in me that he's got to get out of me, because I am human and I have human emotions and human feelings, and he has to purge and clean and work on me constantly. I don't know how he has time for anybody else, because I'm just such a mess. But he's God and he does. And I would not take anything for this relationship that I have with him. I love him dearly. I will never be ashamed of him, and I will never, ever, ever deny where he brought me from. I will never put on airs that, you know, I was just born into this and this is just how it's always been and it's a lovely thing and it's beautiful. No, it's not. It's ugly at times. It's painful at times, but it's so worth it, and I would not trade a minute. I would go through it all again to get to this place, because it was that worth. It's that much. I can't even get my words out. It's worth it. It means that much to me. So I would go through all of that again to get to where I am today, because I love him so much, y'all. He's just not a tool that I just pick up when I need it and put it down when I don't need it. It's a constant relationship, and you have to treat it as such. You would not want to be in a relationship with someone and them just call you and talk to you only when they wanted and needed something. You want to share everything with them, the good, the bad, the highs, the lows. You know, when you're in a relationship with somebody, you want to share it all. Same thing with God. We can't just pick him up when we need him and set him down on the shelf and say, you stay there, I'll come to you when I need you. It does not work that way. We have to include him in all areas and all aspects of our life. And when we do that, that is when he can help us, get us through, be that support, be that rock, that firm foundation. He can give us the convictions to help us. He can give us the strength when we're going through things and struggling. He can give us answers when we have questions and we just don't know what to do. He's everything for us. But it has to be a consistent, loving relationship where you're in communication all the time. And that's key. That's key. Relationship with the Lord, prayer life, and the Word. And you have your firm foundation. Wow. Whew, this is a good one. I love him so much, and I never, ever, ever want to forget how much he loves me and where he's brought me from. I don't ever want to go back to that, because it was not worth it. This is worth it. Even the worst day in relationship with the Lord is better than my best day without him. And I truly mean that. I love each and every one of y'all. I pray that you have a wonderful rest of your week, that the Lord just pour out his blessings on you, that your cup is running over and you're drinking from your saucer. I had to remind myself last night, because I kind of got a little bit in the flesh about some things, and I started asking God for this and this, and I was like, whoa, back up, flesh. You are blessed. In fact, you have so many blessings, it's overflowing, and you're drinking from your saucer, girl. Don't you forget all your blessings. It happens. We do. But I'm so glad that I was like, oh, no, Lord, no. Let me not ask you for anything, but let me thank you for everything that you've already blessed me with. I want and need for nothing, God. You're that good to me. I'm drinking from my saucer. I hope you're drinking from yours. I love you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.